Hello and welcome to this little video of Easter eggs and things you may have missed in the short story Family History, which appears in my 2023 anthology Out of the Depths, a little anthology of 8 short horror stories. Now, please take a moment to give this little video a like, that'd be awesome. Even better, why not give it a subscribe? Don't forget to hit that little bell button. Now, before I go on, I just want to give a quick shout out to some wonderful people. These are my patrons and the backers of the Kickstarter who helped to make the publication of this book possible.
So a huge thank you to Kevin Denwood, Jacob Matt, Paul Lewis, Gemma Innes, Beck Pierce and Anthony. You guys are absolutely amazing.
If you would like your name cried out in such a manner across the internet, why not consider subscribing to my Patreon book club? Membership starts from just £1 a month. There's a link down below. Number 1, Robert Richmond. Richmond has been mentioned a number of times before in Sam's adventures. Normally with regard to his acerbic nature, as well as his his proficiency in archaeology of the ancient world. We've had Sam chat about he and Spliff use the archaeologist's insults as a drinking game, and we've even seen Sam watch him on television. And then going beyond that, in Sam Spallucci Lux Eterna, which comes out in 2023, later on this year at the time of recording, Sam is even going to meet his hero. Number 2, Marla's Fifth. Here we see Richmond wishing that he was at home listening to Marla's Fifth, a very fine piece of music indeed. The TV show he refers to having ripped it off is, in fact, Fargo. If you listen to it, you'll hear the theme come up quite a few times, and it works really, really well. Number 3, the conversation with the sociologist. Now, this conversation is actually referred to in the case of the Spurn Siren. There is a scene where Sam and Ash are watching television, and they actually watch it on the TV there in front of them. So again, there's this link, this crossover between one of the Sam novels and this short story. Number 4, Indus Valley. The flashback part of the story takes place in a modern day excavation of the Indus Valley. I actually studied the Indus Valley civilization from about 2000 BCE when I was a student. And some of my fondest memories is poring over the Indus Valley script, looking at all the artifacts which are dug up there. And I still love prehistory. I think this is probably the reason why, trying to decipher what's gone, which we can't fully understand, coming up with hypotheses, then tearing those hypotheses down and building new ones, and just ever so slowly possibly getting towards a glimmer of truth. If you ever get a chance, go and have a look online. There's loads of stuff about the Indus Valley. Some of it probably a little bit more factual than others, but I'll let you decide which one's the best. Number 5, Infernally Hot. Now, Richmond describes the area being infernally hot, as if the devil himself were here. Now, this is a direct reference to the constructs that he uncovers, having been left there after Lucifer defeated them in Sam Spallucci Troubled Souls. Number 6, low-tech communication equipment. Richmond has to contact his wife on an old field telephone, as none of the modern tech actually works for communications. And if it does, it works very patchily. This is actually due to their proximity to the cup, which had been hidden in the bowels of the city. This will be reflected in the case of the argumentative archaeologist in Sam Spallucci Lux Eterna, when he has the same problems again when he's excavating the site up at Castlerig, and something else is lying there. Number 7, L. We learn here that Richmond's daughter is called L. Now, we actually last saw her as a 4-year-old in the very short story How the Tibbles Got His Name, where we learned that she is in fact the Eloise of the Spallucciverse and Alec's mother. So I guess this sort of makes Richmond Alec's grandfather? I guess it does. In a roundabout sort of way. What's more, Richmond refers to the games that he played with just as Eloise does in her own short story. We see in How the Tibbles Got His Name that she's off doing her little thing, being this knight at a round table. And, Richmond refers to that. So we get into crossovers into Sam's books, but also previous short stories. Number 8, Wellington University. Here we have another connection to Sam. Eloise has packed in her course at a more prestigious university and headed off to the one in Wellington. Wellington is, of course, the town where Sam grew up. So again, we get that crossover of characters and themes and places. But not only this, it will draw her into the events of Fallen Angel, because this is where she is going to meet the book's main character. Number 9, a quote from the Rig Veda. The Rig Veda was probably the first of the holy texts in Hinduism, written very, very long time ago. Again, probably drawing from oral tradition or previous written works. So we can't accurately date when they were first written. But the small quotation that Richmond looks up is taken, obviously, from the Rig Veda, and has been taken by some to refer to the conquest of the Indus Valley by invading Aryans from the northwest, coming down through Persia, Afghanistan, that sort of area, down through Pakistan. Now, this is more or less, at the time of recording, disproved. Having said that, things change, people's ideas change, it might come back into fashion again. But I remember being lots of controversy about it back in the 1990s. And the notion of the dams being breached is also referred to by Sam in Troubled Souls, because he watched Lucifer do it. Lucifer had the dams breached in order to cover the constructs and to stop their advance. Richmond's obsession with Arthurian lore. Now, the sociologist in the TV chat show calls Richmond's obsession with hunting for the Grail and Excalibur exceedingly dangerous. Indeed, most historians agree that the two items probably never existed. They're tropes or metaphors or whatever for something else. But it certainly didn't appear as they did in Arthurian legends, most of which were written long past the time that Arthur, if he existed, was ever around. So to a degree, the sociologist is right to call Richmond out on that from a general point of view. However, he's even more right, as it were, on a deeper level. Oh, well, what would that be then? Well, in the Sam Spallucci stories, you have the prophecies, and one of them says that when the Eternals are reunited, all creation will be destroyed. So if you think about it, if you've got Richmond trying to bring these things together, it might not have a very happy ending. Number 11, the Castlerig site. This is a reference to the case of the argumentative archaeologist, the third case in Sam Spallucci Lux Eterna, where Richmond is going to be digging around the stone circle up at Castlerig, just south of Keswick. And that is where Sam is going to meet his hero. Number 12, Eugene. Oh, Eugene. The notion that Richmond has ended up with this guy because he'd been recommended to him by a friend or colleague, and that friend has recommended him because he wanted to get rid of the guy. I've known this to happen numerous times in sort of workplaces. But anyway, Richmond has enough and he sacks him, which means he now has a situation vacant, and a very special individual is going to fill it. Number 13, creatures. Over and over again, Robert Richmond refers to the sentinels, as they refer to them, he constructs, as creatures, and has to remind himself that they are statues. Something inside of him knows the truth. Something deep down, perhaps that little primal monkey, knows that these things once walked of their own accord. Number 14, the small ball of light. Now, those of you who have read Sam Spallucci, Fury of the Fallen, should recognise this entity as a power, one of the mystical angels from heaven. Indeed, this is in fact the very same one that Sam encounters in that book, Dagon. Number 15, the layout of Mohenjo-Daro. Now, the route that Richmond takes actually mirrors the same route that Sam walked when he and Alec and Tibbles arrived at Mohenjo-Daro in Troubled Souls, in the case of the Dublin Dominion. And it even takes him to the place where Richmond's daughter, Eloise, gives birth to the twins. Number 16, a threefold rhythm. This is a motif that crops up a lot in Spallucci-verse. A lot. You have it there in the background when things are going on. And it's an echo of the song that sings through all creation, coming from both the Eternals and the Abyss. And as the books go later on, we see it then taken up by the Titan, this being which is supposed to bring an end to absolutely everything. Number 17, Indus Valley seals. The seals are probably the most numerous of artifacts which have ever been discovered in the Indus Valley excavations, and they're sort of like, they're really inside. I've seen some quite small, like, so the guy at the British Museum, well worth a look. They've got some lovely stuff on the Indus Valley. They're about that size, but I imagine you could probably get quite bigger as well. It's thought that they were probably used to mark goods for transport, as well as possibly having other uses. Again, we're not entirely sure, because they have the Indus Valley script on it, which hasn't been fully deciphered yet. Perhaps one day we'll know. Number 18. Now I'm afraid we can't have you doing that, old chap. This is a direct reference to Sam Spallucci, Fury of the Fallen. When Dagon confronts a construct here, he says that phrase, but it's exactly the same thing he says to Sam when Sam is torturing Asmodeus. Number 19, Willoughby Chase. So, in his role as PA to Robert Richmond, the power Dagon has taken the name Willoughby Chase. And some of you might be going, I'm sure that's familiar. Where do I know that name from? It's actually from the title of the children's novel by Joan Aiken, The Wolves of Willoughby Chase. And finally, number 20, the contents of the box. We find here that Richmond has now discovered one of his life's desires, what he considers to be the grail of Arthurian legend, but is in actuality the cup, one of the Eternals. He also has a puzzling message from his daughter, which was hidden with the cup in the Indus Valley over 3,000 years ago. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed those. If you haven't bought the book yet, why not go out and grab yourself a copy? You might enjoy it. Links down below, aschambers.co.uk. It gives links to sort of like all the various places you can buy it. And why not check out some other things? But again, please, quick like, quick subscribe, that'd be fantastic. And don't forget to check out my Patreon stuff. I've got stuff goes on there every week, videos like this, extracts from my books, and those who are like members of the Seraph tier even get free books as part of their membership. Anyway, that's all. Take care. I'll see you again soon.